Tonight on CBC Vancouver News.
It points to a deeper failure in the mental health system.
Vancouver's mayor calls for greater mental health supports as the city launches a review into the deadly Lapu Lapu Day Festival tragedy. Plus,
today's approval buys TransLink time until the end of 2027.
TransLink fares are going up, but officials say it's only a temporary solution. What is and what isn't being considered for future funding?
We are not doing road pricing in the province of British Columbia.
And
family has been banished from the community.
Told to leave Haida Gwaii, how the accused in an alleged hit and run has been forced from the community by the Chief and Council of Skidegate.
This is CBC Vancouver News.
Hello, I'm Janella Hamilton. Thanks for joining us. Vancouver's mayor wants more mental health support for those in crisis after 11 people were killed at a Filipino street festival last weekend. The suspect was under supervision at the time, and as Lindsay Duncombe explains, it's a detail fueling more debate about public safety.
Guy G. Adam Lowe was being treated under the Mental Health Act when he allegedly drove into the crowd at a Vancouver street festival, killing 11 people. Lowe's care team says he was compliant and didn't suspect violence.
Now, this is incredibly difficult to hear and even harder to accept because it points to a deeper failure in the mental health system.
Vancouver's mayor said while the specifics are under investigation, Vancouver has seen several violent, high-profile incidents potentially linked to the mental health crisis. Last December, police shot and killed a man who attacked a clerk at a downtown 7-Eleven. 6 months ago, one victim had his hand severed and another was killed after a knife attack. And a man on a day pass from a psychiatric center was charged after 3 people were stabbed at a Chinatown festival in 2023.
We need action.
This former police chief says the answer is more inpatient care.
We have to make the changes to the Mental Health Act so these people are not out there.
Those changes would fall to the province. Wednesday, the Premier announced a review of the Mental Health Act and said BC is expanding care.
It is a full system expansion that's underway right now.
We spend a great deal of money in British Columbia on mental health and addiction, but what's happening is most of that money is actually going to addiction services.
Vancouver psychiatrist Diane McIntosh says there are so few psychiatrists in the province, she wouldn't even have anyone to refer to a sick family member.
And the care that people who are living with mental illness are receiving is abysmal. And hopefully this will be a wake-up call.
The legacy of all this sadness, she says, could be meaningful change. Lindsay Duncombe, CBC News, Vancouver.
Police have wrapped up their investigation on Fraser Street where that tragedy happened. And as John Hernandez reports, more memorials are popping up in the area as residents continue to grieve.
This stretch of Fraser Street had been closed for days after the Lapu Lapu tragedy. It reopened Wednesday morning. There's traffic on the roads, the sidewalks are busy, but if you ask people in this community, life feels anything but normal.
We have so many people die. That's why I'm very sad.
It's going to be a known spot now for Canada, Vancouver.
The wounds are far from healed.
We're the Filipino. We just came here in Canada to better life and secure our family, and then suddenly like this.
The police tape now gone. Another memorial growing at the corner of Fraser and 43rd, where the vehicle rammed through the crowd on Saturday.
I want to do some big crosses. I'll put some Virgin Mary, Mama Mary.
Local Filipino Catholic Jose Jackson plans to build an altar here.
If I put it here, otherwise a lot of people can see. It's a big street, right? People still sad. about what happened in the incident.
A police presence still visible on Wednesday as officers continued their search for witnesses. Those who live nearby want to see a commitment to community safety.
Everybody is not comfortable.
There's no words to express, really. Even me, I'm still shaken up.
I hope this is a lesson from the government that should be secure everyone of the neighborhood.
As more flowers are placed down, so too grow the calls for justice.
What would really, I think, kind of honor their memory is a swift and transparent investigation into the tragedy, and also just kind of a larger investigation of the kind of like current systems that are supposed to keep us safe in the first place.
Each of these memorials are growing moment by moment, a symbol of a community forever changed. John Hernandez, CBC News, Vancouver.
Transit fares and property taxes are officially going up to fund TransLink. The TransLink Board and Mayor's Council approved the changes at a meeting this morning. It will increase basic fares by 14 cents and add an average $20 to property taxes for the median household. But a much bigger funding decision is coming down the tracks, and more on that. We're joined by Justin McElroy. Now, Justin, why did TransLink say these increases were needed?
Well, this has been a long time coming, Janella, and it's because TransLink used to have a business model that worked. And then because of the pandemic, their ridership went down a fair bit. It still hasn't gotten back to pre-2020 levels. And they're also funded by the gas tax. And as more people use hybrid or electric vehicles, the amount of money that they can get from that is going down. So they've been asking for a new system for quite a while. Through negotiations with the provincial government that we talked about a couple weeks ago, they came up with a solution in the short term, which is that they will raise these fares and property taxes. The provincial government will give about $100 million a year. But this is only temporary. And today at the meeting, it was talked a number of times about a certain date coming up where they would need to come up with a different solution. See if you can listen to the subtle hints as to when that day may come.
Fully funds operations through 2027.
In the next investment plan anticipated for 2027.
And between now and 2027,
keeping the organization fully funded through 2027.
Today's approval buys TransLink time until the end of 2027.
So yeah, at that time, there will need to be a broader reckoning. The provincial money runs up. They've promised that a new financial model, a new funding mechanism will get in place so long as the legislature approves it. But right now, that's all we know.
So Justin, what could that solution look like?
Well, it's interesting because you look at the things that the province has already ruled out. They've ruled out having tolls on bridges like we had with the Port Mann Bridge and, for several years. They've also ruled out in the past congestion pricing, the idea of the more you drive through Metro Vancouver, perhaps at the Vancouver boundary or downtown, you pay a toll. We asked Transport Minister Mike Farnworth if that might be back on the table. Here's what he said.
We are not doing road pricing in the province of British Columbia. We have said that previously. The Premier has said it. I am saying it. Local government is saying it. We are not going to be doing road pricing.
So a number of things that are no, but we asked about a vehicle levy tax, which we see in Montreal and other jurisdictions where every vehicle registered has to pay a certain amount, that going if you live in Metro Vancouver to TransLink. He didn't rule that out. So that's one thing that people will probably be talking about the next couple of years as a possibility. Other models on the table, but for TransLink right now, they're in a better position than they have for a long time. But as you heard, only until the end of 2027.
All right, some temporary good news. Thanks so much, Justin. BC's housing minister says rental prices are down and supply is up thanks to the province's crackdown on short-term housing.
Not only is this getting more homes on the market for people, this is also helping us address money laundering in our housing market.
Calon says 20,000 short-term rental units are now in the market and registered across BC since the new rules went into effect last year. Property owners have until tomorrow to register their properties with the province. Calon says companies like Airbnb have been given an extra 30 days to comply and resolve any technical issues. An Oak Bay tenant is calling for more assistance for people who are evicted due to renovations in their buildings. But the province and municipalities each say the other is responsible for providing this support for tenants. Emily Fagan has the details.
After 28 years, Neil McKinley and his family had to bid their home in Oak Bay goodbye.
It was a heartache because this had become our home.
They and their neighbors were evicted from a 14-unit apartment building that was bought by a developer who said tenants had to leave in order for it to be renovated. The tenants lost their appeal to the Residential Tenancy Board, where they said the developer has a history of evicting tenants over renovations. The landlord made the case that the building's plumbing had exceeded its life expectancy by about 40 years, making renovations necessary. Advocates say tenants facing renovictions often experience a difficult battle with limited resources.
It's often left to the tenants to try to prove that the landlord doesn't require vacancy to do the repairs that they stated, and that's not realistic.
King says that this situation shows the current residential tenancy branch system isn't up to the task of preventing renovictions, particularly as it puts a burden on tenants, who are often under-resourced compared to landlords.
I was quite shocked. They very quickly add up.
McKinley wants the District of Oak Bay to provide more financial and housing assistance for those who are renovicted, as municipalities like Victoria already do.
Our preference and most preferences in the province would be that the province look at this carefully because it appears to not be working the way it was intended to work.
Mayor Kevin Murdoch says he would support introducing similar renter assistance policies to Victoria, but thinks the responsibility should lie with the province to standardize this, so all BC tenants have the same rights.
There are a lot of measures that we put in place to support renters, and if there's more opportunities, we'll certainly look at that.
Housing Minister Ravi Kahlon said he feels it's on municipalities, like Oak Bay, to provide the supports McKinley is asking for.
At this point, we believe local governments should be stepping up and putting their own policies in place.
With no one claiming responsibility for these protections, it's unclear how and if change will ever come. And even if it does, it's too late for McKinley and his former neighbors.
Someone asked me the other day if I've begun to settle into our new home. I'm not sure that's possible after this experience. My sense of home has been altered by this.
Emily Fagan, CBC News, Victoria.
Camping reservations for many of BC's provincial parks are now open, but as Pinky Wong reports, people with accessibility needs say they face extra barriers when trying to book a spot.
Dakis Denoye hoped to go camping this week.
I wanted to see if I could do it, so I practiced putting my tent up, and it was a go. So then I went on BC Park to reserve a site, which we know did not go so well.
She uses a mobility scooter to get around, but she says she couldn't find information about accessible campsites on the BC Parks website.
I had to go on the website myself and go through hundreds of photos to try and find the accessible site.
She wanted to go to Golden Ears Park. The website shows there are 4 paved sites at a campground there. But Denoy says it's unclear which sites are paved or where the accessible washrooms are.
But then again, we don't know which of the washrooms are actually accessible.
She called BC Parks, but she says staff didn't know either.
It was quite frustrating and disheartening, actually. It's difficult when you're trying to do something so simple and you can't access the information.
This advocate says other campers with accessibility needs share the same frustration.
There's a very limited number of accessible spaces available, and when they are available, they're actually not accessible.
She says showing photos of the different campgrounds is helpful, but not enough.
On the BC site, there's only one scroll down area that has all the parks listed. And so now you're going to have to go one by one. Whereas if you go on to the Washington State one, it's already on a map. There's a filter system.
The Ministry of Environment and Parks says BC Parks has been building more accessible facilities for many years and says it continues to make upgrades. The NOIA hopes to see more improvements soon so that everyone can enjoy BC's campgrounds. Pinky Wong, CBC News, Port Moody.
Darius Madavi joins us now with a look at our weather. Darius?
Well, we've got lots of sunshine across BC and more of it on the way. Showers don't really start anywhere except for the north coast until Friday. Haida probably seeing some tomorrow and working its way down the coast. But for now, that sunshine that we're seeing across the province is expected to stay for a while. Some cloud will start to build into the North Island tomorrow, especially late in the day. But that rain arrives for the North Island midday and then just some showers for the rest of the south coast starting by the weekend.
Thanks so much, Darius.
Thank you.
Kicked out of the community, how First Nations leaders banished a man accused of second-degree murder from Haida Gwaii. One Nanaimo resident's dreams became a reality last weekend. Hundreds of Americans arrived for the Nanaimo Infusion, a cross-border event to promote Canadian businesses. Claire Palmer reports.
All right, what are we going to say?
It was a day of joy as hundreds took a so-called family photo at Maffeo Sutton Park, the culmination of a months-long social media campaign to bring Americans to Nanaimo. Local businesses say the event was a blast.
It was a special day because we had many of the American visitors that have come up to show their support for us, and it gave a real festive feeling here. It really was lovely.
Downtown Nanaimo has been struggling this year with constant construction and an affordability crunch keeping people away. A local shop says this past weekend kicked off what they're expecting to be a busy summer.
You know, things have been a little tough. This is going to be a good summer because this whole street is going to be so beautiful. and open and easy access.
It's a nice shot to have in the middle of winter and in the middle of this major construction project. I think it gives everybody a little bit of hope and promise for the future few weeks when this is open again.
Outside of the downtown, another business has been promoting the event for weeks. They say Saturday was their best day for sales so far this year, and that they made a month's payroll in just one day.
It really means survival. Honestly, we met a week ago with our finance person, and we had a number we had to hit this month to be able to pay our bills, and we just hit it. So it's a night and day difference for keeping on paying rent, keeping the lights on, paying our staff.
To feel the joy and the peace and welcoming spirit for everyone, and just hearing that over and over and over again. And I think we are going to have an increase in support in this coming year.
It's estimated approximately 500 to 600 people came out for the event. Claire Palmer, CBC News, Nanaimo.
People in Indigenous communities along the North Coast are protesting the death of a Haida Gwaii man in an alleged hit and run. One man has been charged with second-degree murder, and as Brady Strachan reports, he's been banished from Haida Gwaii.
This video, uploaded to social media, shows a hostile welcome near Prince George. The people are turned away. Unwelcome, the protesters say, because of their association with a man who is now charged with second-degree murder on Haida Gwaii and allegations of bringing toxic drugs to the community.
The Chief and Council of Skidegate know that these people that were in these homes were selling drugs, and I think it took it upon themselves to banish them from the community.
He says the banishment is due to the death of Haida Gwaii man Luke Pearson earlier this month. According to the RCMP, Pearson was victim to an alleged hit and run. 32-year-old Tyson Young is now charged with second-degree murder and in police custody. And Tigi says people associated with Young and alleged drug connections have been now banished from the island.
They have since left the community, and I believe 4 of the 5 houses were destroyed.
So when they get here in Newtown, we're going to follow them.
As news spread this week on social media, people gathered along the highway in communities like Prince Rupert, Hazelton, and Smithers in order to support Luke Pearson's family and send a message that those banished from Haida Gwaii are not welcome.
Our ancestors, whenever somebody was exiled from their own territories, they were expelled from their territories, and as they were leaving, their neighboring territories and all the allies that they've got are not allowed to serve them. They're expected to pass through the territory and continue on. And that's kind of what we're doing here. We're upholding our old laws.
This couple followed the people forced from Haida Gwaii from Hazelton to Smithers and live streamed it all as a call to others to join the protest.
We know how it feels to bury our young people, and it's happening far too often. And this movement just really caught the hearts of so many of our communities.
The RCMP say they are aware of the protests, but warn that the activity is bordering on harassment, as the people associated with the accused have not been criminally charged. CBC News has reached out to the Skidegate Band Council and the Council of the Haida Nation, but they have declined to comment until Pearson's memorial is over. Brady Strachan, CBC News, Kelowna.
A sunny day in Tofino. Darius will have your full forecast next.
Hi, I'm Amy Bell, and this is your CBC Inbox.
Are you ready to kickstart your summer, or do you know someone who is? CBC BC is offering a paid 7-week summer internship for a First Nations, Inuit, or Métis youth aged 18 to 35 in one of our bureau locations. The program's designed to inspire Indigenous storytellers, provide hands-on experience in the media industry, and contribute to meaningful storytelling. To apply, visit cbc.ca/bc.
Darius Madavi is back with a look at our weather. And is it going to be a hot and sunny one, Darius?
That's right. Tomorrow and for many folks Friday, looking nice and sunny. You have this high pressure building in, but as we get into late this week, we're going to see that low start to swing over, spreading its influence to parts of the coast. But then that ridge of high pressure builds back in for at least the late weekend for most of BC. So if we take a look at our temperatures tomorrow, they continue to climb, easily hitting the mid-20s, 25 degrees for those inland sections. Once we get into Friday, temperatures start to fall first for the island. So we'll notice Port Alberni dropping very significantly, 12 degrees down to 13 on Friday. Here on the coast, the cold front takes a little bit longer to reach us, so we're still going to see those really high highs inland, at least that's what it looks like right now, before those temperatures start to come down for Saturday, and then they will start to recover for Sunday, but not shown here. Here, if we take a look at the inland, the interior sections, holding it a little bit longer in terms of those warm temperatures. They come up, continue more tomorrow, almost hitting 30 degrees up in Kamloops. Once we get into Friday, remaining high, and here Saturday, as we see those temperatures drop on the coast, they stay high in parts of the interior. Coming down a little bit for sure, but down here in the southeast, we see those temperatures remain higher. So be aware of that. If we take a look at our precipitation map, first reaching the Haida Gwaii area by tomorrow morning. A second wave of it arrives on Friday before it starts to make its way down the coast, reaching the North Island, and then spreading it down to the Vancouver area. Really just some showers overnight Friday into Saturday. South Island probably seeing the same, and then those showers break into the interior as well. If we take a look at our conditions for tomorrow, lots of sunshine across the board, not really much else to talk about. The northwest seeing a couple showers, but really that's it. And Haida Gwaii, of course. Looking at our conditions for tomorrow, lots of really nice highs. Oh, actually, I'm going to skip this. Here we go. Looking at our conditions for tomorrow, very nice and warm tomorrow. High inland temperatures next couple days, and Friday's pretty exciting, I'd say.
Some pretty good heat on its way. Thanks so much, Darius.
Thank you.
Thank you for being with us tonight on CBC Vancouver News. You can watch this newscast on our free CBC Gem app, streaming channel, and as well on our YouTube. Hope you have a great night.